Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Footy. It's JB back on your airwaves on the TC Hub. And Paul James is alongside me for this one tonight. It's nice to be back here. And we've got a great game to kick off the weekend here between Crystal Palace and Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs going well under Ange Postecoglou. 23 points won this season from the first 9 games. That is a new Premier League record. Of course, it was Goose Hiddink who set the previous record and Mike Walker jointly. Also tonight, it's Roy Hodgson's 500th game as a club manager in England. That is some going, especially with the managerial career that he's had, which has taken in all sorts of clubs around Europe and the world. Not to mention the Switzerland national team. So we're all set to go then. Let me bring in Paul James to this evening. Paul, what an atmosphere.
Oh, yes, it's absolutely electric, JB. And good evening, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Today's going to be an absolute test for Spurs today. I think Andre Postecoglou has done such an amazing job. For Spurs fans, though, they've got to be looking at this, and I hate to take the wheels off the party bus, but Spurs have in recent years had excellent starts to the season, and round about November and December period, they've really started to fall away. So this is going to be a really, really big test for Spurs today. It's a London derby. It's Friday night. It's an amazing atmosphere. And I think we our listeners and ourselves, JB, we're going to be treated to a really great game, I hope.
Well, let's hope so anyway.
You turn that down. You told me what was loud. It's ridiculous. I can't really tell you.
Well, the players are in the tunnel right now. We're just waiting for them to come out as it stands. And it looks like there's a number of the Tottenham players getting all motivated for this. And we're waiting for the Crystal Palace players as well. They're coming down that really narrow tunnel inside Selhurst Park. It's you can barely move in there, but they're coming out now. And there's our referee today, which is Andy Madley. Also got Nick Hopton and Wade Smith with us today as well. And I think that's JB back.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the team's just about coming out. Apologies there if you heard some background noise. Well, it's a great atmosphere, as it always is at Selhurst. We'll give you the 2 lineups in a second. As Paul was saying, it's Andy Madley who's the man in charge tonight. Fireworks and goodness knows what else. Accompanying the 2 teams here. It's a cracking atmosphere. And there's the Selhurst Ultras there, giving it the full belt. And it should be on a Friday night. We'll give you the 2 teams now, starting with Crystal Palace. Roy Hodgson in charge of his 500th game in England. Starts with Sam Johnson in goal for them. And then it's a back 4 tonight of Joe Wald, the captain, Joachim Andersen, Mark Gahey, and Tyrick Mitchell. And then it's Jefferson Lermasine from Bournemouth, Czech Decore and Well Hughes in the midfield. They're playing, so it's a 4-3-3 with Ayew, Edouard, and Schlupp up front. No Edouard, in fact, the top scorer with 4 goals this season. No Eze, because he's due to, as he's out with an hamstring, and no Henderson due to a groin, or no Elise neither. There's Ange Postecoglou, 23 points won this season. And he lines up with Beccario in goal, the Italian. Then it's Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and Ben Davis. And then it's Pape Sarr and he's Basuma, the 2 holding midfielders. And then up front, and then further forward, you've got Dejan Kulusevski, James Maddison, and Richarlison. And then Son Heung-min, the man of the moment, 7 goals in the league this season, really coming out of the shadows of Harry Kane. I'll run through the 2 benches in a second or 2, but it looks as if Spurs are going to play 5 in midfield. That's my thoughts anyway. But Richarlison, really needs to step out. Only one goal this season for him, but hasn't really set the world alight since joining from Everton. Massive, but he has scored 1 goal and 3 assists, and he's on course to beat all the same totals that he did in all of last season. But he just didn't really get going at all. Selhurst on a Friday night, London derby. This is what, and there is Ange Postecoglou. What the job he has done. As I said, sets a new Premier League record. 23 points. Spurs can go 5 points clear with a victory here tonight. And on the opposite side, Roy Hodgson, his 500th game in charge of an English club in all competitions. What an atmosphere it will prove to be. The referee tonight comes from Huddersfield, Andy Madley. And we're going to just have a moment's silence now, because English football lost one of its true greats. Last Saturday afternoon, Sir Bobby Charlton, one of the famous Busby Babes, and a World Cup winner, of course, with England, died last Saturday, aged 86. And our thoughts with the TC Hub are with Bobby Charlton's family at this sad time. Let's pause for a minute of silence. And of course, we lost Bill Kenwright as well early in the week as the players break away. And of course, also to the terrible wars that's going on as well in Gaza as well. But Paul, before kick-off, your thoughts on the deaths of Bobby Charlton and Bill Kenwright?
What a terrible loss for football. Bobby Charlton was the epitome of what football is supposed to be about. A true gentleman, incredible talent that English football has had. And his service to Manchester United after his playing career, he's a true legend that everybody in football, regardless of how you feel about Manchester United, should be remembered with great fondness.
But yeah, we just kicked off, by the way, by the true gentleman of football. And as I said, our thoughts go out as well to Bill Kenwright and his family and to those have died in the wars. Everyone. And so we all echo that on the TC Hub. Anyway, we're underway. Tottenham in all white tonight. Palace in the red and white half shirts. And it's a decent atmosphere. Will Hughes making his 200th appearance, incidentally, today in club football. So a great achievement for him, certainly in Premier League terms. Tottenham red hot favourites to win tonight. They certainly got their act together. A lot of people were saying at the start whether the loss of Harry Kane would hinder their chances of even getting into the top 6, let alone top 4. But here they are leading the Premier League. It's been an impressive start, and they got an impressive draw in the North London derby 3 or 4 weeks ago, which was just beyond belief. So, well, we'll just have to see how this one goes out tonight. But you should fancy that as the ball is up forward towards Maddison, but well taken by Sam Johnston. Tottenham Hotspur, well, Paul, have been going very, very well this season. As I said, 23 points, which is a record points tally from a manager after 9 games. We did the 10th one tonight. What has Ange Postecoglou actually done to make this Spurs team really tick, considering that he's had to sell Kane before the start of the season?
Well, that's a really good question, JB. I think moving Son into Kane's former role in the number 9 role has really, really helped. And I think Son has really flourished in that position. James Maddison has added some extra bite as well in both scoring goals and creating opportunities. So it has been, for Tottenham, a bit of a revamp. And we're starting to see a Tottenham side that we just didn't see last season.
Yeah, Sam Johnson just kicking that out of play. So that's going to be a throw into the Tottenham. Of course, before we leave tonight, we'll do a little preview on Bournemouth against Burnley. Of course, Paul and myself are a big Burnley fan, so we'll probably spend half time dissecting their first 9 games of the season. I don't think it's going to be a comfortable 15 minutes to talk about Burnley, but anyway, here comes Spurs as the ball was played in there towards Richarlison. The ball knocked away once more. Maddison takes it midway inside the Palace half, plays a nameless ball, and easy goes through to Sam Johnston. And we'll preview Burnley's fixture with Bournemouth at half time in this game tonight. And of course, me and Paul, all being well, we'll be with you on Sunday afternoon for the Manchester derby. Kick off at 4:30 at Old Trafford. Should be an absolute crackaroony of a game, that one. And
yes, that'll be something, won't it?
There'll be something special, that's for sure. We'll get, as I said, we'll get Paul's thoughts on the Burnley situation at half time in this game, because I'm sure he'll have a few choice words. I mean, I've said my piece on YouTube many times before, so we're going to get an alternate view from another Burnley fan at half time on how Burnley performed. I don't think it's going to be positive somehow, is it, Paul?
No. No, I have opinions.
Well, we'll certainly talk about them at half time. As the ball comes forward from Ben Davies. Here he is now on the ball down the left-hand side. Uses Richarlison. Ward stops him, finds Hughes. Going down the Palace right this time. Ward to Hughes, but the ball out of play. 4 minutes 12 gone on the TC Hub. No goals. And if you're wondering why we're not on JB Sports at the moment, it's nothing sinister. It's just financial things that are keeping us away from JB Sports. But you can listen to us on TC Hub only. And TC Hub 2, of course. Friday Night Footy on YouTube for you. For Friday night. Last time I commentated on a Friday night game, we saw a comeback win for Forest against Sheffield United. That was on JB Sports. But anyway, here's Richarlison trying to work a 1-2 on the left-hand side of the Palace penalty area. Tottenham incidentally attacking the goal to my left in the first half. Palace to the right. Ball being moved around very leisurely here by Spurs at the moment. And again, good play there, but here's Decore now to bring it out for Palace. They start the day in 11th place with 12 points, and here goes Will Hughes on a break. Hughes just to check, plays it to Ayew. Ayew has the shot, and it's a good save at the near post by Vicario. Having to turn that one away. Now Ward crossing it in from the right-hand side, knocked away quite easily by Spurs, and then there was a high foot there by number 8, Lerma, on Son Heung-min, but the referee allowing it to go on. He felt very happy, and of course we've got the dreaded VAR. Should we have any incidents to mop up? Free kick to Crystal Palace on the far side.
Risky that, but JB, for the referee to allow that to go on when Son got a kick in the head there, especially when we're dealing with concussion protocols these days.
Yeah, it just seems a little bit mystifying to me, but the Jordan Ayew shot was a good one. And Vicario had to, well, I mean, he saw it all the way, Paul, but I guess, though, he had to make the save nevertheless.
Yeah, a save I would expect him to make, but it was a good effort by Ayew and a smart save by the goalkeeper. Yeah.
Well, Vicario's coming to the side. Tough act to obviously replace Hugo Lloris, who's been the linchpin at Spurs goalkeeping spot for 6 or 7 years before that. Anyway, Hughes takes a free kick on the far side. Gahee with a header back. Ball lifted in there by Ward. Shop is in there too. Oh, and another good save diving away to his left-hand side. Well, that's 2 good saves from Vicario in the space of, 90 seconds.
That's a really smart save as well. Look, he gets down to the left. That's not an easy save because the shot is low. That's another reason as well why Spurs have done so well. The goalkeeping department has been much more solid this year with Vicario in goal.
And of course, Lloris making so many mistakes last season, which cost Spurs a lot of points. That's why they finished 8th. Spurs now just at walking pace at the moment. It's almost like watching walking football when teams are trying to play up on the back these days.
Seeing a lot with Manchester City, don't we?
We're seeing it too much with Burnley with disastrous results. Not here. 8 minutes almost gone. This is Van der Ven now for Tottenham, number 37, another one of the new faces that have come into the club. Ange Postecoglou has won the Japanese J-League, has won the Australian version of this, and he's won the Scottish Premiership with Celtic. He's a manager that has success. There's a lot of people that when he's warding to Tottenham, thinking, what's he going to do here? Considering that he managed Celtic. Yes, he managed Celtic and won the Premier League. There was expectations with a club like Celtic to manage that. That was Edouard, by the way, who had the shot that was saved the second time by the goalkeeper. But Postecoglou has exceeded all expectations really this season as a manager. But as you say, a word of caution, Paul. They've had great starts before under Pochettino and Harry Redknapp, and then they've just tailed off.
Well, I think I will say there's a certain amount of difference in this start by Spurs. It's definitely been a rare start where they've done so very, very well. I think it's going to depend a lot on injuries as well. I think that's going to play its part.
And that's a good ball around the corner to Maddison. This could be trouble there for Palace. Ball pulled back and then knocked away for a throw. But James Maddison there just getting in behind that Palace defence. The flag stayed down. I think that would have been, that was touch and go whether that was offside, but that would have been interesting if Spurs had scored. Whether that would have gone to VAR, but Son was waiting in the middle. In the end, I think Maddison there just got a little bit too excited in the end as the corner comes in. And Palace get it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he got himself into a good position. Sloppy defending by Palace. They left him alone, really. But the final ball by Maddison was not the best played behind Son. And
meanwhile, Van der Ven has been tripped by Will Hughes. There's referee Andy Madley, close brother of Bobby. The Madleys, the Charlton brothers, if you like, of refereeing. As we see that foul there by Hughes. Just a free kick. Right on halfway there. Hughes, a very committed player. We saw that in his days at Derby as well. A lot of bigger clubs that, at that time after his services. Crystal Palace got in there first. They've not let him go since.
Well, he's been a good servant for Palace too.
And before that at Derby County, where he came through the youth ranks there at Pride Park. Came so close to winning Premier League promotion with Derby on a few occasions. Closest they got were 2014 when they came within 10 minutes off the throw-in stand, only to have it snatched away by Bobby Zamora and Queen's Park Rangers. Ball threaded up towards Richarlison on the near side. Davis has won the ball back on the edge of the Palace area. Richarlison goes in. Good tackle there on the edge of the area, and it had to be timed well. And Ayew does well, uses his strength and draws a foul and a free kick to Crystal Palace. 11 minutes gone, still 0-0.
Yeah, it's been a balanced start by both teams, haven't they? They've Palace have had 2 shots for creating good saves by Vicario, but Spurs have come forward and created a few chances themselves. So it's been a very interesting, balanced start to the game, JB.
And certainly has, Paul. No doubt about that. I think it could be a very good night of football. As soon as I've said that now, probably end 0-0. I haven't had a 0-0 since me and you did the League Cup final a couple of seasons ago.
Oh, God, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Where we debated whether a Liverpool goal should have stood or not. But that was soon settled on the day on penalties. But we haven't had a non since then. So I probably ended up tempting fate here now. And if it does end 0-0, it's my fault.
Yeah, well, it was my fault that it ended up 0-0 in that League Cup final because I predicted there was going to be goals and there wasn't.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, well, we all make mistakes. Anyway, here's Ayew now on the ball now on the right hand side. Easy take there for Vicario. But at the moment, Palace having a little bit of joy on the right hand side, and Ayew at the hub of it at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Spurs need to deal with that because most of those chances are coming down from that right-hand side. So I think Spurs need to spot that. They need to get over and deal with Ayew, get closer to him.
They certainly do. There's Davis on the ball now for Spurs. Looks like he's playing centre-back tonight. Here's Maddison. And what a signing he's been for Tottenham. I have to say, the money they got for Harry Kane for Bayern Munich, they've certainly invested it very, very wisely, I have to say. And they are reaping so far the rewards. And of course, the only blot on their copybook was a humiliating League Cup exit to Fulham. But apart from that, it has been a very good start from Spurs. But they're having a little bit of a struggle here against a well-organised Palace side. And you get that with Roy Hodgson's teams. There's no two ways about it as they try to take the free kick quickly, and Pedro Porro will come back and knock it back to Vicario. And we're about 13 and a half minutes gone here on a cold October night. In fact, the clocks go back on Saturday night. So when we're next with you, hopefully, we'll be in Greenwich Mean Time in the UK. So it'll be the last game I'll do in British summertime this summer. Not that there has been any summer this year. Once Maddison goes down, free kick in a very promising position here for Tottenham.
It looks very distressing there for Maddison. He looks like he's in a lot of pain. That could be bad news for Spurs. He looks in absolute agony there. It
looks like he's holding his right. It looks like he's holding his right ankle to me. I think that could be the culprit. Let's have a look at the challenge again. It's no more than a push. Does he go down awkwardly?
Possibly. But he looks in a lot of pain there. I think he's just getting up now. Well,
he is up on
run it off.
Yeah, it looks like he's up on his feet. Maybe he just fell on the turf a little bit awkwardly. He seems okay to me.
Well, he's ready to take the free kick, isn't he? He's already lined it up.
And we didn't even know. Do you know what? We didn't even need the magic sponge neither, did we?
Remember those days of the magic sponge?
Magic sponge, eh? Whatever happened to those days?
I don't know.
Halcyon days they were.
Gone. Yeah.
Anyway, Basuma and Maddison, the two-man committee. Looks like Basuma's going to hit it right-footed, and so he does. He hits it into the Armstrong roll stand behind Sam Johnston's goal. Doesn't trouble the scorers or the goalkeeper for that matter. Quarter of an hour play, still 0-0.
Yeah, it's again, no, it's at the moment, I think it's just the finishing by both teams at the moment. Both teams are being adventurous going forward. I think for Tottenham, for Palace, they need to kind of watch out for James Maddison. And I think for Spurs, they're just going to have to close down Ayew a little bit better than what they are doing.
Yeah, Tottenham's last 5, incidentally, 1 drawn, 1-1-1. It's just, you wouldn't make that up. And Palace's last 5, in contrast, they've had 2 defeats, 2 draws, and a victory in the middle. So Palace in more erratic form. Spurs, well, you couldn't say picture perfect, but they've been really, really good so far, and they play some lot of good football, very good on the eye as well. Son Heung-min, as I said, hat-trick at Burnley as well. I say that for gritted teeth. Here's Maddison now on the left-hand side. Twists and turns Anderson. 2 Palace players conversion on him. And Palace can get that away. Their defence has been terrific so far. Very organised defensively. But how long will that last? Let's see. Ball over to the far side now. Porro sends a cross in. A little bit too deep, but Richarlison's kept it alive. And then Maddison with his right foot skies it high, wide, and not so Hampson. It still remains 0-0. We're coming up to 17 minutes played here on the TC Hub.
Well, Maddison, I know it bounces up a bit awkwardly for him, but a player of Maddison's quality has to do better there. Just gets his foot underneath the ball and it ends up going closer to the corner flag than it does the goal. But yeah, I would expect better from a player like Maddison there. It's a half chance, it has to be said.
But then again, it's a difficult one to take. As you say, it just bounces just prior to him striking the ball. So, as you say, half a chance, but it's a very difficult one to take. It's Palace go off again down that right-hand side, but good defending again now by Christian Romero, and it will be a throw-in for Palace, which Joe Wolf will take, number 2. He incidentally is the Palace skipper. Again, a very good club stalwart. Been loyal to the club through thick and thin. Because like Palace, it's usually thick rather than thin. Rather than thick, I should say. Anyway, here's Son Heung-min getting the ball away. But Tottenham Hotspur inside the centre circle. The ball comes over to the far side where Kulusevski takes possession. Plays it to Sarr. Back to Kulusevski. Then the ball back again with Romero. At the moment, it's Brandon Main now takes possession and Maddison. That's Richarlison. They're trying to find a little bit of space on the left-hand side there. Spurs just passing the ball around sideways at the moment. But Palace with plenty of men back shut, doing really well there, just defending from the front. And Spurs get a throw in about 10 yards inside the Palace half on the right-hand side, the far side, as we look here at Selhurst Park. And they have a throw here. And just looking for some runners and some space here at the moment. It's a bit of a game of a cat and mouse here. Obviously it's up to, Palace is just saying to Tottenham, come on, break us down if you dare. As Spurs come forward with Richarlison right hand side. Here's Maddison, who's had a lot of possession. Here's Richarlison, right footed strike. Strikes it wide of the left hand upright of Sam Johnson. It must have been a wall of 20 yards, possibly even more, but I think Johnson had that covered all the way. It's a camera over in the process, and it still remains goalless with 19 and a half minutes played.
Yeah, I think, JB, I think the build-up to that was excellent. Spurs maintained possession for a while there, and the build-up play was really good as they stroked the ball along. Very, very impressive possession play by Spurs, but the finish just wasn't quite there. It just didn't get his foot properly through that there, did Richarlison.
No, and here comes Spurs again. Just to remind you, it's John Stuttard and Paul James, your commentary team. Nice to be back in commentating duty tonight. Been a little while since I've been doing commentary and other things to do. Not more or less the day job, working 60-hour weeks. And it's something I've had to get used to in recent months personally. Here's shut now in the football with 20 minutes gone. No goals if you've just joined us on the TC Hub. Beccario's made 2 good saves though. One of them to deny Edouard, the former Celtic man. And Spurs now get a throw just 5 yards, maybe less than that, inside the Palace half. Roy Hodgson applauding the effort of his team so far. He must be pleased with how the first 20 minutes has gone, even though there's been no break in the deadlock.
Yeah, but he's what a wonderful career he's had in management as well. And you have to take your hat off to the man at 76 years of age. And he's still going, and he's shown that he's very capable of managing at the highest of levels. And you really have to take your hat off to him. And to come back and do it again with Palace, and the job that he's done is amazing.
Amazing indeed. At that age, those 76-year-olds, I think, would be on their bus passes and travelling to get their pensions. Not this fella. And he's earning a royal ransom for managing his hometown club, and why not? Never won a domestic trophy in English football, funnily enough, Roy Hodgson. He came close with Fulham in 2010 to winning the what's now known as the Europa League. But real great success. He's never won the FA Cup or the League Cup. Palace are already out of the League Cup, by the way. So they've got the FA Cup to concentrate on in January. It's all about league position. Of course, they reached the semi-finals a couple of seasons ago with Patrick Vieira, who did succeed Roy Hodgson the first time round. When Roy Hodgson left the first time around, meanwhile, there's a foul there on Jordan Ayew. Referee so far elected in this opening 22 minutes to dig into his pocket and book anybody. And I think that's good, sensible referee. So we're halfway through the first half, still no goals. 2 saves from Beccario being the standout highlights. One of them from Alson Edward, as Hughes takes the free kick. And of course, there was another one before that from Jordan Ayew. The speculative shot to the right of the penalty area. So Will Hughes to take this free kick from the right-hand side. In it goes towards the penalty area. It will go up. Mark Gahey's won the ball inside the area. Play on it is, and that's a poor cross, really. Aimlessly out of play. And a goal kick to Tottenham. And with 23 minutes now then, is there a potential VAR check? Now, I think VAR want to look at a possible hand penalty shout here.
Oh, I don't know, JB, looking at that. I don't know. I think that'd be quite harsh if they gave that.
Well, it's his VAR. You never know what to expect with VAR, but apparently they've said that's fair. It's a fair enough call, play on. So maybe, just maybe, that was probably the right conclusion. They just wanted to check just to see if there was a handball. I don't think it was clear and obvious. Let's get that clear. Guys, it comes down to those 3 little words, clear and obvious. I'll get Paul's view on his interpretation of VAR in a second when we get a break in play, because Kulusevski's on the ball. Plays it into Sarr. Sarr's cross, and it completely miscues it. Falls flat on his face, out of play. And a goal kick to Crystal Palace with 24 minutes gone. Completely misses his kick there. Comedy moment there.
Looked very frustrated.
Yeah, bangs his hand down on the turf in complete frustration. But your views on VAR and its controversies this season, because it has been more controversial and has caused more trouble than ever.
Well, here's the thing. I just want to set the caveat of saying there's always going to be errors in football. But I think you have to understand that VAR is all based on interpretation. Like about 99% of the rules in football are based on interpretation. My opinion is this idea of interfering with play or not interfering with play on offside rules, in my opinion, needs to be done away with. If you are on the field of play, you're interfering with play. If you're not, what are you doing on the field? That needs to be done away with, and you can use VAR then for offsides, because that would be very specific. That you're either offside or you're not. There's no grey area then. As for the rest of it, it should be down to the referee's interpretation on the day.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct, Paul. I couldn't agree with you more. I just think certain teams are benefiting and others aren't. And I think it should be a fair system all the way through the league. Anyway, here's Maddison now trying to wiggle his way through. Was it a free kick when he felt he was pushed? I didn't think there was too much in that. And the referee quite rightly lets the game flow. Here's Davis for Spurs. Plays it to the left-hand side, and Richarlison. 25 and a half minutes played. Still no goals. And Anderson had a couple of yards start on James Maddison. Hughes with a little back flick from the clearance. And then the ball breaks to Maddison. No offside. The ball played in. Cross comes in again. Anderson in the way. Still no way through this stubborn Crystal Palace defence. Ayew does really well. And when Ward gets it out, but only as far as Lerma. Not Lerma, rather. Basuma, former Brighton player. Here's Maddison again. He's got all the tricks and the flicks, this kid. And there's the cross comes in. Kulusevski will chase the ball towards the right-hand touchline. Still Spurs have it deep inside Palace territory. No goals if you've just joined us on the TC Hub. Well, Friday night, bit of Friday night footy for you with JB and PJ. Ball played forward and a little deflection there. Play was Anderson who gets the header away. And here comes Spurs again with Richarlison trying to make something of Mickey van der Ven's little ball, but can't be found. And well, it's been a frustrating half, certainly for James Maddison. He's had a lot to say for himself. He's had a lot of the ball, admittedly, but still no breakthrough.
No, I think he's got himself into wonderful positions, but the final ball just hasn't been there for him.
That's a good ball to Sharp. He was in a bit of space as the ball was fed to him. He tried to feed Edouard through the middle. But again, good stout Tottenham defending. At the moment, defences certainly look very much on top over the attackers, and they're never fouled there. Once again, the referee just letting it ride. Just a free kick. No yellow card for Lerma. It was a guilty party that time. 27 minutes gone, still 0-0. Basuma fouled by the other number 8. So a free kick to Spurs. Don't forget, hopefully we'll have the big Manchester clash on Sunday for you. One game that really does promise to be.
Would Man United just love to put a dent in City's title ambitions this year?
Well, it would also help Arsenal out as well, and Tottenham too. Good to see both North London's finest battling it out at the top at the moment. Arsenal, my tip for if you want to, I'll tell you my tip for the title. I think Tottenham fans should close their ears now, because I'm going to say it. I've gone for Arsenal for obvious reasons. So that's my tip for the title as the ball is chipped forward. Kulusevski on the chase. Out comes Sam Johnston into his 6-yard box, just to the left of it, or just to the left of it as he looked. So frustration really for Ange Postecoglou. 2 shots to 3 in Spurs' favour, but both on target for Crystal Palace, which tells you something you need to know. But that they've been more accurate in their shooting than Tottenham have.
Well, I think it's down to the final ball with Tottenham. I mean, James Maddison has had much of the possession on that side, but as I said earlier, his final ball just hasn't been there yet. We'll see if that picks up as the game goes on.
We'll soon find out. It's been a very cagey but very good 29 minutes. Both teams have tried to attack right from the front. Certainly Palace have done quite a bit of the attacking, but apart from those 2 big opportunities they had with the goalkeeper Vicario saving, you obviously haven't had much. Spurs obviously have had more of the play, over 70% possession, which you would expect Spurs to have at this stage of proceedings. They're finding Palace a tough nut to crack. Palace doing something that Burnley didn't do the other week is not show them respect.
I agree with that, actually, JB, and it's something I've said about the way teams approach Manchester City as well. Try pressing them a little bit. I don't think they like to be pressed, and I think a lot of some of these teams that are up there right now don't like to be pressed.
Yeah, we'll get your view on the Burnley situation, as I say, at half-time. So stay tuned, folks, at half-time. There's a Tottenham player down, head injury by the looks of it. Referee just signalling, just gesturing that it is a head injury by putting his hands on top of his head. And it's Romero, but he's okay. But referee just making sure that it's okay. Of course, all these head injury protocols. Oh, dear me, that was I feel that in the morning. Edouard just... I think it was purely an accident more than anything else.
Yeah.
From Edouard, but that was a nasty one.
Yeah, he ran right into him. And I don't think he was expecting to run into him either. And that's always the worst. It's okay if you can kind of you can almost prepare for it. But when you just run into it and you don't expect it, wow.
Well, would have been a right up from a box out. Don't think he would have recovered from it. Johnson Fury, of course, fighting tomorrow. I think it's a bum fight, that one he's got on tomorrow. Of course, there's that World Championship, of course, the undisputed World Championship with Alexander Usyk. What a fight that promises to be, that's basically building up towards Christmas. What a sort of Christmas present that could be if Fury won all the belts. But let's just get back to the matter at hand with the football. 31 minutes played. We're inside the last quarter hour of the first period, plus any injury in stoppage time. Plenty of time still to go. I was just thinking that we haven't had too much in the way of stoppages. I mean, we've had that head clash and we had about at least 30, 40 seconds for the Madison injury. But apart from that, nothing springs to mind. There's a free kick here against for a foul on Van der Ven. But the referee is going to have to take sterner action if these fouls keep continuing every 5 minutes. There's Edward, the Gilsey party there.
Yeah, I mean that's. I've seen referees hand out yellow cards for that. I mean, I condemn. Sorry, I don't condemn. Sorry, I commend Andy Madley for not bringing out the yellow card so quickly. I think some referees do bring them out, but I think at some point as the game goes on, you have to stamp your authority on the game and say no, this can't carry on. Yellow card.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of referees. I think a lot of European referees tend to do that as well. If you watch European games like the UEFA Cup and the Champions League, they're very ruthless in showing the cards. And I've also seen a lot of unsportsmanlike behaviour when a player who's been fouled wants an imaginary yellow card. And I don't like that at all. I think, that's an indictment. Let the referee the game.
Yeah, when they start waving their hands like that, I like it when referees immediately book them when they start doing that because stay back, let the you're old enough to remember the days, JB, when players would actually argue to not have a player sent off. They would go up to referees.
Oh yeah, they would.
Don't send him off. Now it's the opposite.
Yep, as we just see the co-owner there, Joshua Harris, alongside Steve Parrish there, the other co-owner of Crystal Palace. What a job they've done, actually. Half American, half British. Tottenham, of course, owned by an owner, really, that the fans don't like in Daniel Levy. They feel that he never backed previous managers like Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte before it. But in Ange Postecoglou's defence, he was forced to sell Harry Kane. Because Ben has been repping it up in Munich in recent weeks and doing really well. You'll know more about it than I will. You watch the Bundesliga week in, week out. Do you think Kane settled in very well at Bayern Munich these days?
Yeah, I think he has. And I was quite surprised at how quickly he has done as well. Because, I mean, Bayern, they do play a similar system to the way Spurs are playing this season. So I could almost see him settling in. But yeah, he's going to score a lot of goals in the Bundesliga because it's not as tight as the Premier League or as quick. So I think he's going to continue to score a lot of goals for Bayern this season.
Maybe, just maybe, he might get that one goal with you winners medal come the end. So who knows? Great player, decorative with great individual honours, but no team winners medals to show for it. Should have been one in Euro 2021, really, with England. But as we all know, they bottled it on the night.
Yeah, the penalty shootout, which seems to have haunted England for many years.
Well, England are through to the Euro 2024 as well, as you may have heard last week. And then Scotland joined them as well. Here's Ayew now on the chase, but back comes Van der Ven. He's such a very, very quick defender, got plenty of pace, and it was that pace that really bailed Spurs out of a lot of trouble there because Ayew looked as if he was closing in on Vicario there to shoot.
Extremely valuable asset to Spurs is Van der Ven. Spurs had a dreadful defence last season, and it's really helped solidify that defence. And that was a fine example there. Got across really quick and got to the ball before Ayew, who's not really slow himself, is he?
He isn't. He's no slouch. Let's put it that way. But it's a corner now with just over 10 minutes, just under 10 minutes, in fact, of the first period. That didn't look as if it was in the quadrant to me, but the ball was up and under, but easily for Vicario. He's got 4 clean sheets this season. So a terrific start for him in the Spurs goal. Was beaten twice at Burnley. Quite convincingly as well. Great goal from Lyle Foster, and then a terrific finish from Brownhill. Not it mattered in the grand scheme of things for Burnley. Here's Son Heung-min who got a hat-trick that day. Turns nicely there. Ball chipped in there by Sarr towards the near side, and it's Richarlison, left-hand side of Spurs. Tries to cut inside. What about shooting? Chips it in towards the back post. Kulusevski tries to control it. Mitchell is there right down by him. Does really well there. Kulusevski. Good centre forward play. Good held up play. Spurs doing well in possession. Basuma around the corner. Spurs just patiently building it up again. Van der Ven finding Richarlison now. Ben Davies going forward. The Welshman deflects a couple of times and finds the grateful arms of Sam Johnson. Beaten 4 times last week by a very rampant Newcastle, who, after a sort of shaky start in the league, look as if they're finding their best form again, although they were very unlucky not to steal a point from on Wednesday night in the Champions League. It's been an interesting season so far. I mean, obviously Tottenham are up there as a surprise package of the season, but I mean, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk really that Aston Villa might just get crushed in the top 4. I mean, a lot of people are saying that they could do.
Well, they've improved so much this season as the league has gone on.
But wait a minute. Just for a moment then, I thought Anderson was going to get him behind. In fact, the foul has been given against Maddison for a kick to post, as you were saying.
Yeah. They've improved a great deal of Villa, and I've really liked the way that they've been playing. I've watched a couple of games this season. I don't know if they'll make the top 4. I think that is a very lofty goal, but I could easily see them in the Europa League or the Conference League again this season. They now look a very solid Premier League outfit.
Well, I think there's a fair bet they could win the Conference League this season and maybe have a good FA Cup run. They can't win the League Cup, obviously. Everton knocked them out last round. Burnley is the next stop on Everton's trail to Wembley. Everton have picked up a bit under Sean Dyche recently. But obviously with the death of Bill Kenwright, it's really, really sad to see. But of course, they play each other next Wednesday in the EFL Cup. And in the Premier League on a Friday night, on a cold Friday night, it's Palace 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. We're just about near the 39th minute of the game, and Palace have a corner used to take. Up go the heads, and Spurs get it out. But there's an attempted shot there by Decore, and now the ball comes out to Lerma. Former Bournemouth player asks a lot of Ayew. Ayew's kept that in. Oh, he's done well there. Ayew twists and turns and gets the cross in. It's a good one. Richarlison gets it away. And it will be a Palace corner. Palace just starting to turn up the power a little bit in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Ayew as well in this first half. I think he's been the key to most of what Palace have created. Does well to keep the ball in play there. And right by the corner flag in the tight area, he still manages to get the cross. And it was a pretty good ball to Edouard as well.
Indeed. Well, Hughes, who, as I say, is making his 200th appearance. Again, that ball doesn't look on that quadrant to me. A lot of players seem to do that lately. I don't know why. The linesman should be hoping to look at that. Anyway, here comes the corner. Vicario fists away. Ward tries a wayward shot, which might be kept in by Edouard. It will be. And here's Edouard again, takes on his man, and that's a good ball in there. And a header almost won by Hughes at the back post. And it comes off the Palace man. Was it the Palace man last, or is it going to be a corner? It's a corner to Palace. So let's see if Will Hughes actually does put it on the corner quadrant, or is the ref?
I think the linesman's having words, JB.
Yeah, he has to take action here because the last 2 corners, as far as I'm concerned, were never on the quadrant line. The one's on the whitewash, but it's on the whitewash just as that corner comes in. Anything for an advantage. Ward with a speculative left-footed shot which goes very over the top and behind for a goal kick. In the first half, really a real frustration for both sides. It's still goalless with 5 minutes to half time. In fact, he got a deflection.
Yes, it's another corner, but it's still nevertheless, I think Palace have really made more of their chances. They've had more shots on goal. I think they've looked a bit better in their build-up play and the final ball. I think Spurs are really lacking a little bit for the final ball at the moment. I think Postecoglou will want to address that by half-time.
Absolutely. As we go into the final 4 minutes, header one and over. And I'm not sure who that was actually in the melee there, but let's try and pick it out. I think it was Joaquin Anderson who got the header in. Indeed, it was.
Yeah.
And it was over the top. No problem there. Goal kick. As we go into the final 4 minutes of normal time here of the first half. 0-0 between Palace and Tottenham. Two best chances really of the game fell to the home side when first Ayew was denied by, that's a poor touch there by Richarlison, who doesn't look the player that we're used to seeing in Hull and Everton before that. I mean, I know it takes a while to settle into to different surroundings, but I don't think, I'll be honest with you, Paul, I don't think Richarlison and Spurs are a good fit.
Well, I mean, I think Richarlison is, I don't know. I don't want to make any unfair criticisms, but I think the talent is there for him. But I just see him as, how can I choose my words carefully? He seems to be more of an individual type of player rather than a team player.
Well, he's a typical Brazilian, so Brazilians are very famed for their individuality. No. Modern Brazilian players are. Neymar being one example. Last 10 minutes, 6 shots for Palace, but none for Spurs. It's been frankly disappointing, really, tonight. And I was really looking forward to seeing them at their very best. I saw him against Bournemouth commentating on one of the opening weekends, the second weekend of the season. And they looked very in control without being too spectacular. And unfortunately, I think they've been less than spectacular in this first 43 minutes that we've been watching, Paul. I mean, it's just, I think maybe Roy Hodgson at the moment, halfway through this game, has probably won the tactical battle.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. I think Spurs have had the majority of the possession. They just, again with Spurs, their build-up play and to the final ball has not been fantastic. And I think Palace, for the most part, have been able to figure it out. And certainly the crosses into the box just haven't been there. And Son hasn't received the service.
The referees, I thought for a moment there was going to be some sort of melee there, but the referee had allowed the play, taking the free kick possibly too quickly for us. And the referees, liking there, took us all by surprise there. But anyway, nothing came of it. And now the ball will go back to Christian Romero. He plays it towards Papu Sarr. Well, we're a minute away from the end of the 45. Fourth official tonight, Graham Scott of Oxford. And incidentally, the VAR referee is Stuart Atwell. So, well, he's only been needed the once, and I think he got that one just about spot on. Foul by Ayew on Maddison. That's 2, he says. 2 fouls. I think that might be it now. One more, and you're in the box, son. 20 seconds to go before the end of the 45. No goals. Palace have had the 2 best chances of the first half, but wait, here's Maddison. Now, ball's going to beat him out of play. So we're now coming up towards the 45-minute mark. Still no goals. We're now into stoppage time, and which we're going to have 2 minutes, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Postecoglou here. He does not look impressed, does he, with this first half performance?
He absolutely doesn't. And I think he'd be I think Roy Hodgson on the other hand, Paul. I think he'll be more than delighted.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be the happier of the 2 managers because given the form that Spurs have shown this season earlier on, as you mentioned, and this type of play that they've played, the type of football that they've played, for Crystal Palace, I mean, they've really managed this Tottenham team very well, and especially the front line.
They have indeed, and it illustrates the way that they've stifled as well. The tactical battle, as we've said, that's so far so good for Roy Hodgson. I think this is probably Postecoglou's first massive test, really, to see. I mean, they had a big test, of course. They came back from twice behind, of course, in the North London derby, lest we forget. Oh, Spurs there. It's a little bit careless there, almost. Romero giving the ball away there but they've got possession, still retain it with Madison and Basuma. So we're into the second of the 2 minutes, and then it'll be a 15-minute. And then I'll obviously run down the other scores from tonight, and then we'll talk Burnley. We'll preview Burnley against Bournemouth tomorrow. It's one of the big games of the day, and that is a massive game for all sorts of different reasons. As we come to the end, what's been a very good, decent first half, but without anything too spectacular to mention. But here's Sarr now. Are we going to see a late break here? Kulusevski shakes up two opponents. Sarr plays the ball in, but again, good defending there by Decore. And then the ball played back in there. Out comes Johnston, who's done rather well there to get the ball. Charlison lurking at the back post, but he looks disinterested tonight for me. We've played the 2 minutes and there will be no more. As the whistle sounds for the end of the first half, Ange Postecoglou, well, ashen face, shakes his head, grimaces. The Aussies got some work to do, that's for sure. As I'm very delighted Roy Hodgson makes his way off. So let's get your first ball. We're going to stay with you at half-time and into the second half. Obviously, we're going to have some discussions with Paul and I at half-time, but your views of that first half, Paul, very disappointing, I think, as an entertainment point of view.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's been the occasional opening which we've seen from Palace where they've kind of come close to breaking the deadlock. Some good goalkeeping by Vicario has kept Spurs in the game, but I think it has to be said it's really down to the fact that Spurs have had the majority of possession but haven't really done anything with it. The situation has begun with the poor balls into the box from Madison. Kulusevski on the far side as well. He's not done that much better in terms of the balls into the box. They've really made it easier in a way for Palace to break down this Spurs attack. I think they need to be a little bit more cuter in the second half in the way that they build up, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if Postecoglou decides to make a change maybe at half time, or certainly not by half time, at least by the hour mark, if things don't improve.
Okay, no worries. No problem there. We'll be back with Paul in about a couple of minutes. We'll talk about Burnley and their match with Bournemouth tomorrow and how the season's progressed after 9 games. Just to keep you in the loop of what's going on elsewhere in football and sport tonight, England, the Lionesses are in action at Leicester tonight and lead 1-0 after 13 minutes. A goal from Lauren Hemp has given the Lionesses the lead, and they just kicked off the second half there in that game. That was a 7:45 start. The Netherlands beating Scotland 2-0 in the other game. Earlier, Republic of Ireland beat Albania 5-1 as well. And Germany hit Wales for 5. Germany 5, Wales 1 as well. Elsewhere in the rugby, of course, there's a third place match in the Rugby World Cup, and they've just reached half time in that game in Paris. Argentina 10, England 16. Earl with a try for England, converted by Farrell. Cabelli with a try for Argentina, converted by Potfelli, who scored a penalty. And then 3 extra penalties from Owen Farrell has put England 6 points up in that game. In the Cricket World Cup, South Africa beat Pakistan in a terrific game in Chennai tonight. Pakistan in a 46.4 hours made 270. South Africa 271 for 9 and won by a wicket, would you believe? And that's probably the most dramatic game in the World Cup. If you got Sky Go after the game, after you listened to us, watch the highlights back, because I tell you, that was a thrilling finish in Chennai a bit earlier on. And as for England, well, in this tournament, Paul, they've been nothing short of pathetic, haven't they? I mean, to get beat off Afghanistan is one thing, but to lose so limply against Sri Lanka is quite another.
Well, they've not been playing well, have they? They're lacking a certain something of English cricket right now. They went through that period of time where they were so good, but I think they're going to have to go for a rebuild stage, aren't they? Really?
So yeah, certainly the one day there's a lot of talk. Joe Root was saying in the week actually that they want to get rid of the T20 blast. I think that's wrong. I think the over cricket is needed. I think the NatWest Trophy should make a return, but I think at the expense of the hundred, which to me, the ECB have spent 3 years marketing the damn thing, and it's just a tournament that is just there to fill the schedule. It's not there for English purposes. No other country plays the 100 ball format. It's had 3 years. It may be good for the youngsters and people that don't flock to cricket games, but I still think the county system is a good system. And I think we'll keep the T20 brass, bring back the NatWest Trophy, and there's your domestic county cricket season sorted in a nutshell, and maybe play more 50 over one day internationals as well during the summer. That's my simple answer to the white ball problem. But anyway, that was our views on cricket. Anyway, let's talk about Burnley for the next 10 minutes because we a big 6-pointer tomorrow against Bournemouth, Paul, and I know it's a bit early in the season to start saying it's a 6-pointer, but this really is a 6-pointer in more than one way. And what have you made of the horrendous start to the season?
Oh, I don't know. Where do you begin, JB? Let's start with the defending. I mean, it's I haven't seen defending that bad since the Steve Cottrell days.
No,
I don't know what has been going on, and it's. I mean, okay, there's been no Ekdal. And Ekdal does pair well with Bayer, and I have great faith in Bayer. He's in the German under-21 system, and I
a good
believe he'll be
defender.
a full international eventually.
Hmm.
But it's the defending is just not there. Burnley, they're not Manchester City, they're not Tottenham Hotspur, they're not Liverpool. They don't have the I hate to say this because it sounds really disrespectful, but they don't have that kind of level of skill.
They don't. They don't have the players. I think that's the key to it all, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. And it's when I looked at it at the start of the season, part of me, and I remember talking to one of our colleagues on the commentary hub, Luke, and I said to him, I said, "There's no goal scoring there. There's no experience there.
Yeah.
In the Championship, you can maybe play younger players, up and coming players, and it'll work. But when you go into the Premier League, that is an entirely different beast." And you have to have players who are used to playing at that level, and we don't seem to have a lot of that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk, especially on YouTube and on Turfcast. I don't know if you subscribe to any of these things, Turfcast, but there's been a lot of people saying, certainly on social media, that they should play most of the team that got us up last season. I think, or got Burnley up last season. I shouldn't really say us. I know the reason why I say us because we're both Burnley fans. So forgive us if we're disrespected. But at the end of the day, I think should Benson have had a chance? Should Zahori have had a chance? I mean,
I don't think there's any point in not doing that at this point, is there? Because everything else he's tried has failed. So why not bring back some of these players, Zahori, Benson, and try to see how they get on? I mean, I think there are certain players that are staples in the squad. I think Lyle Foster is one of them.
Oh yeah, he surprised me. I mean, I've got to say, I was his biggest critic at the start of the season, and I have to say, I was a big critic. I was saying to you guys, oh, he's got a whopping 2 goals in 8 months and whatever. But he has proved me wrong, and I hold my hands up and say that. But I think another disappointment for me, and I attacked him big style on Saturday night. If you saw the video, was Connor Roberts. I have to say, I think he shows more passion in a Wales shirt than he does in a Claret shirt.
And I agree with that too, JB. Actually, yes, I did see your video. I saw it on Facebook, and I think I'm also a subscriber to your YouTube channel, JB Sports.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I did see that, and I agree with you. By the way, I do agree with you entirely on that because I think he's been very disappointing this season, and I think towards the end when we got relegated, when Burnley got relegated a season before that, before Vincent Company, I think he was disappointing then as well. I don't think he's quite got it in the Premier League. And I'm hoping that, again, I'm really hoping that he can kind of prove us both wrong. But I don't think it's quite there for him at the moment. And you're right, there's a lack of passion. And I just wonder whether it's all becoming a little too much for him, because some players may look at this and say, my goodness me, we're in a no-win situation here. I mean, it can't be fun getting hammered the way that Burnley
No.
are week in, week out.
I mean, I'm as I said, I've been very critical of Burnley's performances, but I get some people writing me off and saying, "Oh, well, we played the top six." I mean, I criticised them last week on Facebook for saying Brentford. You know, people are going to say, "Oh, Brentford are now in the top 10, the top 10 side." Brentford had struggled before then, but I think the difference is, and what do you make of this thing from Alan Pace? I mean, they've advertised for a drummer. I mean, it gets more bizarre as you think about it. I mean, if they want to improve the atmosphere, maybe Cajole Vincent companies are actually doing something that might help. But what do you make of all this atmosphere malarkey? I mean, it's just. Do we really need a drummer, or do the fans need to take more? Maybe back the team a bit more at the start of games, because
I think you're
the
right.
atmosphere.
Sorry,
Because the atmosphere makes a difference, doesn't it?
well, of course it does, but and I agree the atmosphere should be better. I don't know whether a drummer will make things any better. I know some clubs have used it. I think they do at Blackburn, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't think it's going to help matters if what is going on the pitch is not there. It's all very well to say, well, we need fans to be, we need fans to make more noise. Oh, we need fans to pay £35 for a ticket and then X amount on refreshments and spend over £150 perhaps on a family going to watch a Burnley game.
Yeah, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I think it's too expensive to even watch a football game these days, let alone go to a Burnley one. I mean, it's probably expensive if you go to Championship League One's League Two these days.
You're lucky you don't live in Canada, JB. I can tell you this much. To go and watch a National Hockey League game in Canada, for the Calgary Flames, you will pay, for even the worst seat, you'll pay $40.
$40.
$40, yeah. But if you then take the next level down on the arena, you'll pay $150.
Wow.
And this is for any game. This is not even maybe a Battle of Alberta like Calgary and Edmonton, a big game like that. It's not even that. The front row or towards the lower bowl of the arena, you could pay anything up to $500 for a game.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm old enough, and I'm sure you. Well, I don't want to give your age away, but I'm sure we're both mature enough to remember that that football was a working class game. I certainly remember it as such. I even remember it being not even being a Premier League. But I mean, now going back to Burnley, I mean, obviously it's a big game. I mean, they've got two massive games coming up, of course. Burnley, Crystal Palace to come in just over a week's time, and Bournemouth tomorrow. What's the minimum points return you'd expect from those two games as a minimum requirement?
As a minimum, I would expect 0 right now, based on the performances that I'm seeing. In terms of on paper, I would expect them to beat Bournemouth and maybe get a point against Palace, but I don't.
4 points, yeah.
Yeah, but right now I'm going to say 0, JB. I don't see where the next win is coming from, if I'm being honest, based on what I'm seeing on the pitch.
Yeah, it is worrying. I mean, the Luton result we managed to get. I mean, it was a tough game, that one, and we had to fight for that one. And then there was the Forest controversy, which we've talked about again and again and again. Should the Foster goal have been disallowed? I mean, even if we had got the 2 extra points from Forest, would it have made a whole world of difference in the grand scheme of things?
Possibly. I mean, that would have been a confidence booster to go to a place like the City Ground and win, especially with that Forest team, because it has to be said, if you stack that Nottingham Forest squad up against the Burnley squad, that would have been a very impressive victory for Burnley. So yes, that would have been good. But I mean, this is again, no, I don't look at this as I'm a little bit different, I suppose. When I see a performance like that against Forest, and I see what may be or should not have been given. In my opinion, if you're asking me to judge the the 2 goals, I think both goals probably should have been disallowed. If
So
I'm
in
being
theory, we
honest.
would have won. So if you'd have said that if that had been the case, we'd have won 1-0. None that it was
Right.
guaranteed.
Yeah, that would have been my view on it, JB. But I have to say, it's one of them, isn't it? I don't
Yeah, of
criticise
course
the
it is.
referee because I know there's things like that go on in football.
Yeah,
For
well, of
me,
course.
look at the performance at Burnley, and we've got plenty to talk about on there for sure.
Absolutely. Anyway, thank you for your views on Burnley. That's kept us entertained at half time. Meanwhile, the players are back out for the start of the second half, and I can tell you that Ben Davies has come off and Emerson Royale is going to come on. And so a royal appointment for Tottenham as they look at me coming out with all the puns tonight. As they prepare, looks like Ange Postecoglou was not happy the way the first half went, but now the onus is on them. Really, they did win 4-0 last season. Kane got a couple, Matt Doherty got one, and Sung Yun Min scored. But at the moment, no breakthrough as yet here. But it was 0-0 this time last year in the corresponding fixture, and then Spurs got 4 in the second half. In 28 previous Premier League games, as the ball's chipped forward, up towards Edouard, but Richarlison should get that one away. And I say should, as the ball is now booted forward. Kulusevski shielding the ball. Wins his team a throw. In 28 previous Premier League games between the two sides, Palace have won 4. Tottenham have won 17, with 7 of the previous games drawn. So Tottenham do have the upper hand in all-time Premier League head-to-heads. Just to remind you, the teams: Johnston in goal for Palace, Ward, Anderson, Gahi, and Mitchell, the back four. So it's unchanged from the first half. Lerma and Decore, the 2 holding midfielders, with Ayew, Hughes, and Schlupp further forward. Hughes making his 200th appearance tonight. And Edouard up front, the former Celtic player. Vicario in goal for Spurs. Back 4 now of Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, and Emerson Royale. Then it's Sarr and Basuma, the 2 holding midfielders. And then further forward, we've got Kulusevski, Maddison, and Richarlison. Goal comes in. It's knocked away. Son Heung-min, the captain, up front for Spurs. I'll just run through the 2 benches as soon as the ball goes out of play, because we didn't get a chance to have a gander at them. But Emerson Royale was one of the substitutes. He's always just got his first touch as I talk to you now. By that, a minute and a half of the second half. Palace 0, Tottenham 0 in the opening game of the Premier League weekend, which also concludes with the Manchester derby on Sunday evening, or Sunday afternoon rather. If Spurs were to win, they'd be 5 points ahead of Manchester City and Arsenal. Well, certainly 5 points ahead of Arsenal as the ball comes in. Palace have scored 10 goals of their 11 goals this season in the second half of games. So they're a pretty good second half side. Not that they struggled in the first half. They had 2 very good chances. One for Ayew and one for Edouard, which was well saved by Vicario. Now then, Edouard chasing a foot race there. And I think he's fouled his man. And a free kick it is to Tottenham. Opening thoughts of the second half from you, Paul?
Well, it's Spurs looking very positive to begin with. But again, I think it's going to be down to the final ball into the box. But it's good football.
Well, let's see. Here comes the cross. Deflects in the air. Easy for Johnston. Takes it comfortably. I have to say, Johnston, I mean, he was beaten to a pulp 4 times against Newcastle, admittedly away from home. Not many teams go to St James's Park and get a result. But I felt sorry for Sam Johnston. He didn't deserve to get beat by 4 because he did play decent in the game by all accounts. But his handling, I have to say, he has improved leaps and bounds in the last couple of years as a very accomplished goalkeeper. And you can see why, I can actually see why Gareth Southgate is picking him for England a lot of the time now, as Ayew fouls his man on the far side. 3 kick to Palace, 0-0. 3 kick to Spurs, rather, 0-0. Ayew argues with alignment.
I agree with you, JB, about Sam Johnson. It's very difficult, though, going to a place like Newcastle and the talent that's on there, Isak and Wilson and, some of the players that they've got in that Newcastle side. It is a very, very good team.
Absolutely. And let's just, this is the first of Most of the fixtures, as I said, that are being played this weekend. In fact, let me run through the fixtures. There's 4 fixtures on tomorrow afternoon as we now hit the 4th minute mark of the second half here on the TC Hub. And we're also on TC Hub 2, and we're also on Storm FM. Those 3 just for a little while. Just because StreamYard keeping it off JB Sports for a little while. So for those who think that they're tuning into this game on JB Sports, please tune to the commentary hub, please. Still no score here. There's 4 games tomorrow. 12:31 Chelsea against Brentford, West London derby, that one. Then 2 3 o'clock games: Arsenal, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Burnley, and then Wolves, Newcastle at 5:30. And then another 5 tomorrow on Sunday: West Ham, Everton at 1 o'clock, Villa, Luton, and Brighton, Fulham, and Liverpool, Forest all at 2 o'clock. 15:30 is also the kickoff time for the Manchester derby. Incidentally, not 4:30 as I originally thought. Nothing happening while you're away. There's a Spurs throw-in actually, or Palace throw-in. Sorry. So the substitutes for Palace: Matthews, the substitute goalkeeper; Rob Holding, formerly of Arsenal; Nathaniel Klein, formerly of Liverpool; Richards, Amada, Riedewald, Araxaki, Oliveira, and Mateta. And for Tottenham, Foster, Emerson's just come on, incidentally. Eric Dyer, Oliver Skip, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Giovanni Lo Celso, Bentancur, the Uruguayan international, Gill, and Brennan Johnson, the Welshman. Just to remind you, the officials: referee Andy Manley from Huddersfield, to assistants Nick Upton and Wade Smith, Graham Scott, the 4th official, and VAR, if required, Stuart Atwell. The ball is played out to Jeffrey Schlupp, and Schlupp does really well. Gets inside the area, right across the 6-yard area. And Palace almost in business. That was a good ball from Jeffrey Schlupp, who, remember, has won a Premier League title with Leicester City. Kulusevski makes the break. Ball kept in by Palace. Still no goals with 51.5 minutes played.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, because the ball was played across very, very well. It's just such a shame there was nobody there to pick that up.
Yeah, good move from Palace. They were no-nonsense side, of course, under Roy Hodgson, but when they do get an opportunity... Oh, my goodness me. Sam Johnson there, that's probably the first error he's made, and he's got away with it. The ball's been hushed out of play, and it's Porro with a throw for Spurs, almost in line with the 18-yard box of Palace. We'll get Paul's view on that in just a second or two, because Spurs are attacking with Porro now down that near side. Sarr now towards the right line, and it's been turned in by Joe Ward. Well, how's your luck? How is your luck? Palace clubs at one end, and then Maddison plays a lovely ball in, and Ward, all he could do from 3 yards was turn it into the back of his own net. Spurs have been poor up until now. Maybe it's their lucky night. 53 minutes gone. It's Palace 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1.
Well, that's very, very unlucky, really, for Crystal Palace, and especially for Ward. It's one of them, isn't it? You know, you've got to take your chances, and they really didn't do that, unfortunately. And as a consequence, the ball has been turned into the net, and that's a shame. But there it is, 1-0 for Spurs.
And the irony of it all is, Ward could have left that. He could have easily left that. But he's not to know that there was nobody behind him. And that's the price you pay. The captain puts through his own net, and Palace, not 60 seconds before, could have scored themselves. That's the cruel, fickle nature of football at times. 52 minutes, 14 seconds. The own goal was timed at. But before that, Sam Johnson made an horrendous mistake almost that could have easily, which in the end did cost Palace in the end because it led to an unnecessary throw-in.
Yeah, it's just one of those, unfortunately, isn't it? They just give they give the ball away. The ball has broke loose, and it's just turned into the net. What a pity.
What a pity for Crystal Palace, who have offered more to the game than Spurs have in the bigger picture. They might get a chance here for Edouard. Hughes is in support. Edouard tries the shot, deflected and over. Will be a corner. Right-footed shot from Edouard that took a deflection. And Palace responding very positively to going a goal down. Good block there by Romero.
Indeed, it's nice. It's a good reaction, this, from Palace. They're not letting it get them down. They might feel a little aggrieved being 1-0 down. So now they've come forward and they've created chances, and that's good to see.
No, they have to believe here. They're taking their own style. They're taking their own. The whole trust in the second half, the own style road end. Here comes the corner from Hughes towards the near post. Oh, there was a crowd scene in there. I think Mark Gahey got up, and I think he got the header on it. He did. Yeah. It was a free header as well.
Yeah, I think that's a chance that JB Gahey should have got that on target. He'll be disappointed with that.
Goal kick given. He will be disappointed. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Palace 0, Spurs 1 in the London Premier League Friday night derby. Full house here at Selhurst tonight. So this crucial game. Palace start the night 11th with 12 points. Not a bad return. Started their season off with a very good win at Sheffield United. Tottenham, as I say, lying first at the Spurs and that swing stand. They started with 23 points. They could go to 26 points with victory here. They go 5 points clear of their North London neighbours Arsenal with a victory.
Well, the second half, I think, to say Spurs have started off well in the second half. They've responded, I think, to perhaps what Postecoglou may have said. I think it's the chances that the play has been better in general from Spurs in the second half. The build-up play, the possession play, it just looks a little bit crisper at the start of the second half.
Well, they say the Aussies are the best. And they'll tell Eddie Jones that. I mean, they were at shambles with Australia's World Cup bid in the rugby, but that hit the referee, that intended ball. The referee, by the law, has to stop it. Doesn't want to give an unfair advantage to one team. Now, this is where I get an absolute annoyance with the drop ball rule these days. That I think the drop ball, Paul, I don't know how you feel about the whole situation. I think it should be a contested drop ball.
That's the way it used to be. I don't know why they changed it, to be honest. I suppose Spurs' argument would be, well, we had clear possession of the ball. Why should we have to contest it now because the referee got in the way? But I think I always say that contesting the drop ball is the fairest way to go about it.
I think it's been the only way to contest it, but the rule makers of world football feel completely different to how Bill Paul would think about it. Maybe we're just too old in the tooth. Maybe we're just too old-timers wanting the halcyon days of proper competitive spirit to come back into games of football.
Yeah, I think we almost have to go into the lower leagues to see that now, JB, to be honest.
Yeah, these days. Absolutely. I'd like to see more referees encourage competitive drop balls as Ayew now makes a break down the right-hand channel. Wins a throw-in. Almost over with the 18-yard box of Tottenham Hotspur. They're going to see a substitution for Palace, and it's number 4, 49, Rex Saki, I think, who's going to come on. Unknown quantity to somebody like me, a new signing in the summer. Song gets it away, up towards Kulusevski. Spurs, good, well, I wouldn't say good value for the lead because they have been, quite frankly, appalling for the 58 minutes we've been playing. But when you're top of the league, all the luck in the world seems to go for you. As Anderson makes the ball back. Ward, who scored the unfortunate own goal, gives away cheap possession. So we've played nearly an hour, Paul. Your verdict on the game so far?
Well, as you mentioned, Spurs haven't been great. I think they've been a bit better in this second half. As for being good value for the lead, I agree with you. Certainly not. I think a draw would be a fair score as of now. But Palace aren't giving up. They're not letting that get them down, and they're trying to create some chances themselves.
I mean, some may argue that Palace should be 2 goals ahead, but that's an argument you could have down the pub or down the cafe or whatever. But this was the mistake, Paul, that's almost initially led to the goal.
Well, yeah.
And then, I mean, what else could Joe Ward have done? A lot of people would have said left, leave it, but it's very difficult for us in the commentary box to say he should leave it if he's not to know there's no one behind him.
Well, that's it. You see, you never talk. Even when you're growing up playing football, you're told never to let the ball go by you. You don't know who's behind you. He had to get his foot in the way on that, and he just diverted it into the net. It's most unfortunate.
Just one Raksaki has just come on. Jeffrey Schlupp. Let's not forget he's a Premier League winner with Leicester City. It seems like a lifetime ago now. He's the man to make way. Here's Son Heung-min as he lays in towards Porro, across the face of the goal. Knocked away once more. Sal picks it up on halfway, runs about 10 yards, and then just plays some. And Spurs just content to play very slow, triangular passes. It's not what Roy Hodgson would have wanted in his 500 game in charge in English football. In all competitions, that includes League Cup, FA Cup, and domestic leagues, mainly Premier League. Can't remember managing in the Football League, unless someone else has got better memory of it than I do. 61 gone, Spurs leading, but it's a very, let's just say, it's not a comfortable lead by any stretch because Palace, you could argue, have been worth a couple of goals tonight.
I think so, JB. I think Palace have played very, very well in the first half, and I think they deserve to be on level terms. But I think, as we all know, football, you don't always get what you deserve. But I think it also warrants to be said that, do you deserve to be winning, or do you deserve to be at some kind of parity in the game if you're not taking your chances as well? So I think they've got to. The possession that they have and the limited possession that they can get, Palace have to really take advantage of that, and they have to take their chances. Otherwise, they're not getting back into this game, JB.
Absolutely, they have to take the chances, and they had 2 very presentable ones in the first half. Spurs just coolly playing it out from the back with Richarlison, who's been up for one bigger on that left-hand side. But that's a good ball. If we can, just a little bit overcooked. Otherwise, Son, I think, might have been in there. I will commend Palace for one thing tonight. I think for another thing, they have, up until now, we're in the 63rd minute, and they've kept Son Heung-min very quiet up until now.
Well, he's not received the service, I think, JB. He just hasn't, the service hasn't been there for him. And I can see on action on the Spurs bench right now with Johnson and Højbjerg getting ready.
Yes, yeah, LBA and Brennan Johnson signed from Nottingham Forest. 40-odd million in the summer. Good money for Steve Cooper to get because he was able to reinvest in his squad and reinvest it very wisely. Bringing in Divock Origi, which angered a certain Burnley fan.
I remember.
Who can forget? I felt a bit guilty afterwards for taking Luke Turton's team, and I just want to, as Richarlison comes up, Johnson comes on, and the other player going off is Basuma. So that's the substitutions cleared up. Just want to give a shout out to Luke Turton. He was due to produce. We all know he's got a few problems at the moment. We all at the commentary hub and all our listeners, we support you, and we hope you're okay. And hopefully, hopefully you'll get get your head into a very good place. Look, we're all with you on the TC Hub, and I speak on everyone's behalf at the Hub on the channel for that, and I'm sure Paul will echo the sentiments entirely.
Absolutely. Luke's a very good friend of mine, so I certainly hope he's able to get back into the saddle again real soon.
Yeah, well, he is missed, and he's a very good friend of mine now again. We had a little bit of a do, but everything's fine now, and he's one of my very nice co-commentators, along with you, Paul. Yeah, he's a good commentating companion. Mind you, I've had a few of those in my time. Chris Whiteman was the original one, and in fact, I was with Chris about 3 or 4 weeks ago and played snooker together, and he seems in very good form. As Mitchell now gets possession for Crystal Palace. Goal kick given, no deflection on the cross. And maybe Palace just a little bit deflated now since the goal. They're going to make another change by the looks of it, as Roy Hodgson looks to use all his jokers in the pack. They can, in fact, use up to 5 substitutes now during the regulation 90 minutes, which means that the squads now from all 20 sides can be utilised to the full, should they need to. 20 minutes gone in the second half, and if you've not been with us, go on 53 minutes from Joel Ward. It's the difference between the two teams. In fact, it was a known goal from Joel Ward. Johnson gets an early touch of the ball. Finds... Johnson's in behind. Son Heung-min, 2-0. Found the right corner easily. And Brennan Johnson space. Too hot for Crystal Palace to handle. And it looks as if, barring accidents, that Tottenham Hotspur, who haven't been at their fluent best tonight, look like they're going to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. 2-0 they lead with 20 minutes of the second half played.
Poor defending, JB. And just as we were talking about Son being kept relatively quiet, first chance he has, he puts it away. And to be honest with you, JB, just look at this. Son is on the edge of the 6-yard box. There are 2 Palace defenders around him, nowhere near close enough. That is very, very poor defending. He's not going to miss from there.
No, absolutely. It's shocking defending, and Roy Hodgson will be, well, I was going to say tear his hair out. I think he'll be tearing the lumps out of them. 2 defenders. Son Heung-min gets his 8th league goal of the season. And, well, what a way to step out of Harry Kane's shoes. And Shadow as well. He's
really
took over
into that role, isn't he? Into that number 9 role. He's
an absolute diamond to top them. And we've got an injury by the looks of it. It's like Tyrese Mitchell is down on his haunches. Looks as if he might be quite seriously hurt. A physio there to try and sort him out. 8 goals in 7 appearances. I guess, Paul, you can't do much better than that.
No, you can't. And considering last season he came under a little bit of fire last season, he's really, really settled into that number 9 role as a replacement for Harry Kane. Look at this. This substitution was tactical genius as well, by the way, JB. Immediately, Højbjerg comes on. He's immediately in the play, pulls the ball across in the ball to Son. Yes, it's very, very poor defending, but just look at this. The long ball, first of all, played up. It's a wonderful ball over to Johnson. Johnson, that one substitute involved. Højbjerg is a second substitute involved. And just look at that. There is Son Heung-min in the middle to Johnny on the spot. But I have to say that Roy Hodgson must be absolutely livid with that defending, because it is poor.
Yeah, absolutely. 68 minutes gone. You've missed nothing, by the way. Tyrese Mitchell is still receiving treatment down below us. And this will be a blow for Palace. I mean, they played very well. They deserve a couple of goals themselves, but as Paul James quite rightly said it about 10 minutes ago, you don't always get what you deserve in the game. Mitchell's, I'm pleased to say, he's on his feet. But is he unable? I'm not sure if he's able to continue. He's going off the field. A ruthless looking Roy Hodgson now. Whereas about 25 minutes ago, he was quite all smiles.
Well, he might look like that with that defending. I mean, he must be thinking to himself, why am I stood here on a cold Friday night when I could be at home having a beer and
I think
watching
he's
this?
probably. I'm not sure he's a beer type of fella. I think he's probably more the hot chocolate type and a pipe and slippers sort of man at his age. I don't think I call it a nice cool beer. I'm not going to mention brands, but I don't think a nice cold bottle of beer would be his thing at all. As we see Nathaniel Klein. Now, false start on the substitution. Will Hughes is also being replaced. So Klein replaces Hughes. And also Amada is also on for Tyrese Mitchell, who cannot continue. I suppose Roy had to change it somehow. But as you were saying, though, Paul, break it to Paris, just shy of halfway in their own half. I have to say, it was a tactical masterstroke. Pure genius, I think, is the quote. Is from Manch Postecoglou bringing both Oybie and Johnson on because they're both pretty good players. Oybie, real warrior and dynamo in the midfield, and then Johnson with his breathless pace as well. I mean, but Son Heung-min, yeah, you say he was under fire, but I guess you don't become a bad player overnight. No. Anyway, throw into Palace. Deep inside Tottenham territory on the far side. Didn't come to much, but they get a second bite at the cherry. They get a second throw in. And Ward launch it in. And will he go short? Looks like he's going to go for the short throw. Straight to number 49 here, which is Raksaki. Wins another throw. 3 in succession for Palace. 20 minutes to go. Spurs leading by 2-0. Ward again to Raksaki, who somehow managed to stay on side as the ball played in. Hacked away there by Pape Sarr. And Palace win another throw. 4th in succession. They're getting plenty of throw. I'll tell you what, if the game was won on throw-ins, there's no doubt Palace would get the points.
Yes.
It'll check up on my co-commentator to that remark. Anyway, I was get a 5th throw now in this little phase of play. Was it 5-0 already in throws? That's in the last 2 minutes alone.
There comes another one, I think.
This time I think it's going to go Tottenham's way. Yep, off the corner flag. The ball had gone out before it did touch the corner flag, actually. Well, 20 minutes to go. I mean, on the face of it, I mean, let's remind the viewers, listeners, if you've just joined us, Palace had the better of the first half. But Tottenham showing their class, and an unlucky own goal got them on their way. And then a typical finish from Son Heung-min. But people are tuning, Paul, and think, well, 2-0, it's a routine Spurs victory. But it's been anything but that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think the scoreline tells the whole story. At least not in my mind, JB. I have this issue in my mind that, particularly throughout large parts of the first half, Spurs had a lot of possession, but they didn't do a great deal with it. I think they have been a lot better in the second half, and it's not going to get any easier for them, of course, with Chelsea at home, Wolves away, and Villa at home, and City away coming up for Spurs. That's going to be real tests for them.
Not to mention games on the 7th and 10th of December against West Ham and Newcastle, respectively, although both of them admittedly at home, and Newcastle and West Ham are two teams that are playing really good football, although West Ham had a bit of a wobble in Europe, losing to Olympiacos last night in the Europa Cup. And so the ball kicked away there by Johnston. Finds Ayew, moves his possession. Spurs now, they're in control, but they always say, though, 2-0 is a dangerous lead. I'll see.
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is a very dangerous lead. And all it takes is for one chance and one goal, and it makes you then very nervous at that point.
Well, Raksaki already had a free kick against Emerson Royal, but the referee told Raksaki what he thought and told him to get off the floor, get to his feet. Madison in possession. And of course, we've got to, or you need to get your thinking cap on in the next sort of quarter of an hour, because we've got to have the match, of course, in association with Barry Swain's commentary services to Tubes. I'm sure you'll have a few I think Tottenham candidates certainly, as they're the winning side, but I'm sure there'll be a few contenders for Palace. As Royal shapes to shoot, and then number 23, Poro tried the same. It's gone out for a throw, which Papi Sarr will take. As we head towards the final, quarter of an hour, plus any additional time added on at the end.
Well, I think there's probably a number of candidates for Spurs, but I've got a few names in mind already, but we'll kind of see how the remaining sort of 10 minutes or 10 to 12 minutes before I make that announcement comes to light, because at the moment Spurs look very comfortable and in control at the moment.
Yep, no spoilers, please. Anyway, 2-0 as we now come towards the final quarter of an hour of normal time. And Spurs now in complete control. But football, as a certain Jimmy Greaves used to say, is a funny old game, and Powers can get one in the next 5 minutes. We might still get a grandstand finish here at Selhurst. They've got a free kick as well, but it's deep inside their own half. Probably about midway inside their own half. Referee is having one or two words with the Palace player. You're trying to steal yards or whatever. There he is, the referee from Huddersfield.
I think he's done very well tonight, JB. He's let the game flow. He's in my opinion, I think he's done a very, very good job.
And it's also been refreshing not to see the yellow card come out at all up until now. And some referees, the card would be out every 2 seconds.
Yeah, he hasn't shown that many cards this season.
He hasn't shown one at all tonight, which, as I say, is refreshing. And there's going to be another double change now for Palace. Mateta is certainly one of those, and Oliveira is the other. But they're not going to come on until after this free kick. Son Heung-min is the one-man wall. That's the Sun that comes from the 10 yards as the ball is threaded in from the left-hand side. It's headed over the top by a defender, and it will be a corner. I think it came off Poro last.
Romero there.
Romero.
Yeah, it was a good piece of defending as well. Got across, had to make that header.
Certainly did. There's 2-3 Palace players coming in at the bar post. Vicario having something to say there. How good has he been this season? Anyway, corner kick. Homestyle Road and all stand up as one. Almost like a Mexican wave. Here comes the corner. No Will Hughes on corner duties now. Ball comes to the edge of the area. And Spurs defend it very competently. There's a Spurs player gone down inside the penalty box. Referee's drawn his attention, and it's Romero. Could be another headbanger here. He's rubbing the back of his head. I mean, there's any blood coming from it, but as you say, head injuries, you have to have pills to go however soft they are. Let's check the replay. Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like it just went right into the back of him there.
That's a sore one. That's the old phrase goes. But I'm pleased to report he's okay. I don't think he's got any double vision at all or anything daft like that. Anyway, Mateta and Oliveira about to come on. Off comes Jefferson Lerma, the former Bournemouth player. Did okay tonight, I thought, in small spells. There he is. Jogging off. And,
Edward is the other one.
Edward, yep. So it looks as if Messrs. Hodgson and Lewington have played all their cards now, as they need to at this stage of the game. Franca to give him his full time, number 11. Oliveira, I've got on the notes, but it's Franca on the television graphics, that television caption, but we'll call him Oliveira. Maybe he's making a break immediately, but ball beats him out of play. And a goal kick given.
Well, interesting substitution for double substitution for Palace. Of course, it makes up their 5 substitutions now. But if they can steal, maybe one JB, as we well know, that could make Spurs very nervous. 2 goal leads, as you said, are quite funny, really. I've often found in a lot of cases where one team gets 1 goal back, they can sneak an equaliser. All of a sudden, what looked like a very difficult situation now becomes much more manageable.
Also, you only have to go back to last night to see how cruel a game it can be when a team's 2 up. Just ask Aberdeen fans that they were 2-0 up against PLAK in the Conference League with about 80 minutes played. And the Greeks came back with 3 goals to win the game, although Aberdeen felt they should have had a penalty at 3-1, at 2-1. And I have to say, it did look a penalty. But the Scottish side were robbed, but they were vulnerable and conceded 3 very soft goals indeed. One a penalty, which was Kulusevski now trying to make it safe. The 25-yard speculative shot, but didn't come to any fruition. And here comes Spurs again with Johnson, who's, apart from the goal, hasn't seen much of the play. Maddison certainly has. Son looking to get his second, or try to lane Johnson then, trying to return the compliment for earlier. Spurs, I think Spurs won't do what Aberdeen did last night and be very careless.
Well, they look a lot more solid at the back, the Spurs. They don't look like they're in any kind of trouble. And I think you also have to look at the fact that they do look very much in control of the game. Palace don't look like they're going to score right now, to be honest with you, JB.
Well, they did look like scoring in the first half when Ayew got behind, and I think the big chance really was Edwards. 90 seconds later, really, back goes in. It's a totally different ball game. Ball played over the top. Klein saw it well, but only as far as Son Heung-min, who picks it up on the right-hand side. Spurs 2 up if you just joined us. Kulusevski now inside the area. 81 minutes played. Sarr in possession. Porro, the IBA deep inside Tottenham, inside Palace territory now. Almost on about 10 yards from the edge of the area. Palace area. IBA now. Ball playing, just passing around at will on the right hand side. It's almost like watching a training exercise. How well drilled they are in the passing. There's a little bit sideways, admittedly, but I think when you're 2-0 up and time is not against the opposition, I guess you can afford to start being a little bit better. But then again, you don't want to be doing it too much. You don't want to rub the opposition up the wrong way. But it's good football anyway. Here goes an opportunity now for Papi Sarr. Cross was deflected behind. But Sarr then could have easily run on another 10 yards maybe and had a shot. He did have Son in the middle. And that was his intended target, although Johnson was massively free on the far side.
Yeah, it was a good build-up play again by Spurs.
And Sarr and Son sharing a nice little hearted moment. As the cross comes in towards the back post. Oh, I thought Johnson might have tried to snick that one in the far post. He's somehow managed to header it back into the 6-yard box when I thought it was easier to score a third. Maybe the angle deceived me a bit. Let's see. Royal's chip. Well, that should have been 3-0.
Well, I think Johnson was a bit concerned with as you mentioned earlier, the angle was a bit tight, but maybe he felt it might have been easier just to pull that back. But again, it's good football by Spurs. The build-up play again was very, very good. We've got a VAR contest.
I think we've got VAR now. What's possible handball? Did it touch him? No, it's just a throw. The hand was out from Klein, but I don't think there was any contact with the ball. But you probably need a commentator for that. It certainly works well in cricket. Unfortunately, it's not cricket that we're playing. It's football. It's the Premier League, and it's a Friday night game live on the TC Hub. Hope you've enjoyed it anyway, guys. If you've tuned in, JB and PJ, the commentary team. Nice to be back on the airwaves after a little time away. Working hard in the day job. And so far, it's been a good performance. It was a good performance until about the 55th minute from Crystal Palace, and then it's all fallen apart at the seams. But I think when we look back at the game as a whole, and you look at the territory and everything else and the chances created, I'm not sure you can say that it's been a 2-0 Tottenham victory, really.
I would argue that that's probably correct, JB. But again, I think it really goes back to taking chances, doesn't it? And as I've said before, I know it sounds rather harsh of me to say things like this, but I do have to say that if you don't take your chances, you don't really deserve to win. I know that sounds harsh, and people
it's an
say
old
that's
cliche.
horrible. It's
not horrible. You're just being honest. I think that's constructive criticism. That's what they say on the X Factor. Anyway, free kick. Not that you're Simon Cowen anyway. Anyway, free kick. It is to Palace. It's Nathaniel Klein now on the ball. Joachim Anderson. Can they take one chance with 5 minutes of time to go? Nearly. Anderson whizzed it in towards Gahi in the 6-yard area.
Good work by Van de Ven again. That is really superb defending, getting across there, making the challenge, because that was a really good ball into the box.
Nice, and he's had an excellent game as well, by the way. Right, Oliveira to take the corner. 4 minutes to go, plus any injury and stoppage time. Header one, and it's behind for a corner. And Tottenham felt it should have been the other way. They felt it should have been a goal kick. But it is a corner. 4 minutes to go. Is this the stroke of luck that Palace needed? Was it a corner in the first place? Should it have been a goal kick? Well, we'll find out. Sure, Sky will show a replay of that. That is definitely a corner. But what did the TV cameras pick up that we didn't see? We'll soon find out. Oliveira taking the corner from the other side this time. Far side as we look. The right-hand side with the right foot. Oh, dear me. What sort of corner was that?
That was a disappointing corner, wasn't it? And when you're 2-0 down, that is not what you want.
Well, if Danny Breaker does bring out a bloopers DVD, I'm sure that one will be cut into that. Just to remind you that we will be back on Sunday. Just to remind you of the kickoff time, 3:30 in the afternoon, not 4:30. 3:30 kickoff. 3 minutes plus injury time to go. We'll be coming to Paul in a minute or two for his man of the match, or player of the match, we should say these days. Sponsored, of course, by Commentary Services. He's got another couple of minutes to have a little bit of a thinking, have his thinking cap on, and then I'll be throwing to him for that. Well, on the face of it, it looks like a routine victory for Spurs, but again, it's anything but as Paul James quite rightly said, if you don't take your chances at 0-0, invariably you get punished, and Spurs are still claiming, Spurs claiming periods that it was theirs, Palace claimed it was theirs. Referee Madley, who's had a good game, by the way, has decided that it's a stop and throw. We're going to see two more changes. Number 11, Hill, and number 30, Bentancur, the Uruguayan, who's going to come on in just a second or two. Was in the Uruguayan squad that were knocked out of the World Cup in the group stages. You may remember that they were knocked out in disgrace when Cavani knocked a VAR monitor over. You were there, Paul.
Oh yeah, it was what a shocking behaviour. It's a bit. Okay. I understand you're disappointed that you've been eliminated from the World Cup. Nobody wants to go out in the World Cup in the first round, but come on, control yourself a little bit, please.
Almost a year ago that World Cup, and we've got Yeah, we did the final together. One of the best games of football we've ever had the privilege of commentating on together in 2 years.
Absolutely.
In 2 years of being a duo, and I don't think that anything that we do, whether it's cup finals or anything else, would be bettered. Anyway, Madison is coming off, and Brian Hill is going to come on. Benton Kirk, who was a little bit frustrated that he was left out today. Now he's going to get a couple of minutes plus surplus time to say, as Kuliseski. Well, they'll be adding time on for this. Yeah, but not that it will make any difference to Tottenham fans. Cock a hoop. Well, they've started the weekend in grand style, 5 points clear, and in the classic case of over to Arsenal and Manchester City now. Manchester City's case is going to be a tough one at Old Trafford. Anyway, let's ask Paul now for his player of the match, sponsored by Commentary Services. Who have you chosen tonight, Paul?
Well, JB, I've given it to Mickey van der Ven. Not exactly involved in either of the goals, but I think defensively he's done a very, very good job. And of course, he's been he basically just took control of the defence and really stifled that threat by Ayew. So for me, sponsored by Commentary Services, the player of the match goes to Tottenham's number 37, Mickey van der Ven.
And a good choice too. He's made some very important interceptions throughout the match, especially one a few moments ago. There's going to be 8 minutes added. I don't know where they get all this. I like to know how they did the maths for all this. 8 minutes. I mean, if the game's won or the game has been lost, I mean, why bother? You just had 2 minutes and just finished the game. 8 minutes just seems a little excessive for me, but I'm just an old fool. But anyway, here's Brennan Johnson, chance to make it 3. His son, who scored in the fixture last season, nearly scored a brace this time. Scored one last year as well. Scored tonight. Could have had a second. Good defending. Still 2-0. We played a minute of the 8th.
Again, it's good build-up play by Spurs, though, isn't it? Johnson, again, he's actually done very well since he's come on as well. Struck there by Son, right in the face there, or not quite in the face, rather, in the leg there of Mark Gay.
Mark Gay. Yeah, good block. Very brave as well. It's just goes back to the old saying that put your body on the line. So we played a minute and a half of the 8 that have been added on. Not that it's bothering Tottenham fans at the moment there. This is their best start of the season. In fact, I found a sort of stat there. It's been probably the best start of a season since the Bill Nicholson days of 61, I think, something like that. I was reading in the stat pack before the start. And, halcyon days there. And it's it's hard to believe that they haven't won the league since those days in 61. You look at the Spurs teams of the last sort of 40, 50 years and the talented ones as well, when you've got the likes of Greaves, Hoddle, Waddle, Ginola, all them sort of people that are dealers and Billier as well. It's hard to believe that Spurs haven't won the league in all that time.
It's very hard to believe. It's, I mean, they've come around times where there was dominance by Liverpool and Manchester United, but they've been unbeaten in all 5 Premier League away games. This will make number 6, and that will be the first time a Spurs manager has done that since 1949 when Arthur Rowe did it.
Wow,
he actually was unbeaten for 12 games. Yes, that's right.
If there's any listeners who were there in 1949, we'd like to hear from you. No, Arthur Rowe. I thought you were going to say Arthur Rowe of Dad's Army fame, but don't tell him, Pike. I had to get that phrasing one day. Anyway, here's a chance now for Mateta to try and get something of a consolation and make it a bit more of an interesting finish. But once again, the man in the match, Van der Ven. There again. Powers get the throw. And they've certainly run out of steam since certainly the first goal. Second one is sort of the icing on the cherry on the cake. But wait a minute, are you? Oh, what a goal! What a good goal that was from Jordan Ayew. Well, Palace have got a sniff. It's 2-1, and what a finish.
What a strike. And it just dropped down and Romero doesn't get across quick enough here. But what a strike, not taking anything away from Ayu's strike. That was absolutely superb. And that left Vicario with no chance at all. It needed to be something special to beat Vicario. And that it was. That was a wonderful strike. But I have to say, Romero does not get close. Romero rather does not get close enough here, quick enough.
Hang on a minute. I think this might go to VAR. I think he used an arm to control it, Look.
Yeah.
Well, it would be a shame if this was chalked off, but the letter of the law states if you handled the ball,
it rolls down his arm off his chest, so that may stand. It come off his chest onto his arm. I always thought that would be okay if that happens, but we'll see anyway.
But then again, Burnley were denied a similar goal against Nottingham Forest for exactly the same reason. So it's how Stuart Atwell, the VAR man, interprets this. Well, it's off the chest and onto his arm.
Yeah.
But is it giving him an advantage to shoot and score? He still has a lot of work to do, obviously, but it's a brilliant goal, but it would be an absolute travesty if it was disallowed.
I don't think this should be disallowed, to be honest. I think it bounces off his chest and on his arm. I think, for me, that is a good goal. For me. But we'll see. We're going to get an answer soon enough. They're taking long enough.
It's taken up to 2 minutes. I'm just looking very closely at the referee here. And he's got the ball in his hand. Now I'm just waiting to see if he does go to the monitor, and if he does go to the monitor, should he do so?
If he goes to the monitor and just sees that view, JB, he's gonna give it as no goal. I mean, look at that angle; it's very telling, isn't it?
Well, 99 times out of 100, when the referee does go to the monitor, he usually overturns the decision that has originally been made. It's been 2.5 minutes now. We've all had time on for this at the end.
I've got to ask a question, JB. Sorry to interrupt you, but I've got to ask a question. If it takes this long, is it really clear and obvious?
Well, we had that problem at Burnley, didn't we? The Burnley the goal's given. Goal's given. Well, it's taken them, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. It's absolutely ridiculous. But the goal has been rightly, in my opinion, allowed, and I think Palace deserve at least something from this evening. If they're not going to get any points out of it, at least they've got the goal of the night. Maddison is furious with fourth official Graham Scott. He thinks it should have been overturned. And I think he should do well to keep his mouth shut at this point. But he's had a good match as well, by the way. But as you say, it was poor defending from Romero. Nothing that Vicario could do. So any hopes of a fifth clean sheet have fallen by the wayside for Tottenham. Now they'll be hanging on just to see if they can get all three. Now we've played 78 minutes, but I feel that we could go beyond 100 minutes because of the 2.5 minutes it took for Stuart Atwell in VAR to come to the decision. But I can't say that was clear and obvious. If it takes more than 2 minutes, you can't say it's clear and obvious. And it goes down to those three little words, doesn't it?
It does, and I think if it had come off his arm first, I could totally see why that would be ruled out. But it bounces off his chest and onto his arm. He can't really get his arm out the way in that situation.
Well, the Elmsdale Road end. Well, I was going to say in Raptures, Johnson's coming forward. They couldn't possibly. Here comes the corner, and the goalkeeper got a glove on that, and it was enough. There was a crowd scene, and the goalkeeper's out of his ground. Klein has got to be sensible, and he is. They're well there to find Amara there. That was a good, intelligent bit of play because Johnston was way out of his goal. And if Son had got the ball, then I'm afraid to say it would have been well and truly game over. Foul there, and the first yellow card. And there's a little bit of a free-for-all at the end of it. The yellow card has been waved. I think, is it Ayew?
Well, that almost borders on a red card. That was...
Well, this might be... Well, was it? I don't think it was Ayew. I think it was a Tottenham player. Well, VAR getting involved. I'm trying to work out who's got the yellow cards here. think he's shown 3 yellow cards. Again, I can't really comment well how many he's shown or hard to say. I think Anderson's been booked. We'll get all this confirmed, obviously, but it was Alsaki.
It's that one.
It's an Emerson Royal. And then there was a second one by Anderson. I didn't see that one, actually. That was a nasty challenge. I mean, it was on Hill, that second one. And the game that's been pretty well disciplined and kept a good lid on by the referee. Unfortunately, he's going to end in a little bit of chaos as Anderson has been confirmed as a book. It's his first of the season. I'm sure there was a Spurs player booked as well. Again, we haven't had that.
Anderson was Brennan Johnson.
We haven't had that confirmed. Brennan Johnson looks as if he was the other one. So 1 yellow card apiece, and no VAR needed to get involved. I think they were just about the right decisions. Still, but the only 2 yellow cards shown in the entire 99 minutes that we've been playing. And another yellow card. Well, Jordan Ayew looks like he's in the book as well. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can see why those cards were given. There was a flashpoint there, JB. A flashpoint where they were gonna come together, and I think the referee handled it very well.
Well, that's his 3rd yellow card of the season, Ayew. It's like London buses these yellow cards. You wait 99 minutes for them, and then 3 come along in 60 seconds. As the old London bus phrase would go. Hill in possession. The referee blows for a free kick. We're way past 100 minutes. And now the last chance for Crystal Palace and Jam Johnston. Can he get the ball away? Referee looking towards his watch. He'll allow this free kick. And the referee about to blow. And he has blown. Has he? Yes, he has blown for time. And it's a victory. Or is it not? No, I think it's a free kick.
I think it's for an offside, JB.
Offside. I thought he'd blown for the whole time whistle. I must admit. Oh, that's close. That's very close. Harsh decision, but I think the right one. Even if you're fingernail offside, you're offside these days. Anyway, this should be that now. We played 101 minutes over the 90. Well, I say 11 minutes over the 90. We played 101 minutes in total. Been a long night, Paul.
Well, it has been, but I think the second half has been a lot better than the first. It's Palace have not been able to really, I think because of the disruptions since the goal, Palace haven't been able to put any sustained pressure really on the Spurs goal.
At least they made it a good of a fight with that goal from Ayew. They still might make a fight of it here. As things stand, the gap will be 5 points. It was 2 at the start of play. It still might be 3 now. Oh, what a chance. Oliveira closed in, but I think the angle had died on him.
Look at Porro here. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Right there, JB. This is what I'm talking about. Look how quick Porro gets across there and gets in the way of that. That's what Romero should have done with Ayew, but that was very good defending.
It was excellent defending. It's a case of classic case of being in the right place at the right time. And a goal kick has been given. No deflection on that. Just put the attacker off. Kick away, and there goes the whistle. Finally, after 12 minutes of stoppage time, it's a victory for Ange Postecoglou. He moves now to 26 points. 5 points clear of their North London rivals who have got to play tomorrow. And what a good victory that has been. Madison played really well. Son Heung-min with one of the goals. Joe Ward with an own goal. Put Palace 1-0 down. Son with a typical 6-yard box finish. Scores his 8 goals this season. And Ayew's first of the season. Terrific right-footed volley. Wasn't enough. But to save Roy Hodgson or get any points from his 500th game as a manager. But, well, Spurs were made to work hard for it, Paul James. And work hard they certainly did.
Yeah, I think that was a very good workhorse performance by Spurs. Especially in the second half, they looked a lot better. Maddison is still complaining. He needs to shut up. At this point, the 3 points are in the bag. Yes. Stop complaining. Go away. That's at that point. You don't want to pick up anything silly at this point. No additional fines by the FA.
Also, they can book the players after the final whistle, by the way.
Yeah.
I think everything's okay now. I think it's all smiles. Madison shook hands and everything. So I think he's probably just heard you.
Yeah, I think it's just the most sensible thing to do. Is just to, it's done now. It's over, and they've got the 3 points in the bag. And this is a vital win for Spurs because it puts more pressure now on Manchester City and on Arsenal to pick up the points in the coming weekend. Of course, City have United, I believe. Arsenal have Sheffield United.
Well, I would say I would wager that Arsenal will beat Sheffield United the way things are going in current form, but the Manchester derby on Sunday, it will be a different kettle of cod, that's for sure. And you'll be able to hear that with me and Paul, hopefully on Sunday afternoon. Make a note of the start time. 3:20 will be on the air. 3:30 kickoff, not 4:30. 3:30 kickoff for the Manchester derby as Tottenham celebrate down below us in front of their supporters, who must be over the moon. What a start they've had. 10 games played, 26 points. It's the highest points since the 1940s. And, well, maybe if they go on and win something this season, I mean, they're not in Europe as well, which will be a big bonus to them as well. So maybe finishing 8th, maybe a blessing in disguise. But what a good performance. Son Heung-min, what a player. What a season he's having. 8 goals this season in 7 games. He's plus a hat-trick to boot at Burnley. Say that through gritted teeth. But James Maddison's all smiles again. I know they'll be a little bit hacked off that the clean sheet went at the end, but there was no doubt about the goal from Ayew. It was a truly wonderful finish, and it would have been a travesty for that to be chalked off for a handball, which would have been a bit harsh, but a terrific performance from Tottenham. Well, summing up, Paul, your final thoughts before we leave tonight.
Wonderful game of football in the second half, at least. I think Spurs really put it together in the second half, and they deserved their victory. I think Palace really, when they got the goal back, I was half expecting Palace to build on that, but I think with the distraction of the fouls leading up to that, they were not able to do that. But in the end, Spurs, I think, deserved the victory. It's a tactical masterstroke by Potasoglu. And Spurs can come away very delighted with the 3 points now, knowing that it's back now in the court of Manchester City and Arsenal.
Absolutely. So there we go. That's the story here. Just before we leave you tonight, just a few other results to bring you. In the Women's Nations League, which has been played at Leicester tonight, Lauren Hemp goal in 13 minutes, enough for England to beat Belgium by 1-0. And they now go level at the top of their group. And in fact, they can qualify for the Olympic Games. They've boosted their chances of qualifying for the Olympic Games on behalf of the Great Britain team. Although they had to work hard for it. Marriott looks like she's earned the clean sheet tonight, that's for sure. That's what happened there in the women's game. Scotland were beaten, by the way. And England have beaten Argentina in the third place or bronze final. So they claim bronze medals. Steve Borthwick's men. Hard fought game though. 23 points to Argentina, 26 to England. Couple of tries from Earl and Dan. Cabaya and Carreras for Argentina. But Owen Farrell's 4 penalties were the difference in the end. There were no need for drop goals tonight. So England finished third in the Rugby World Cup. Of course, New Zealand and South Africa, who I felt were very fortunate to beat England in last Saturday's semi-final face-off in the final at the Stade de France tomorrow evening. In the cricket, Pakistan lost by 1 wicket by South Africa. If you haven't seen the game, highlights of that game, I think it's well worth watching the half-hour highlights on Sky, because I tell you what, that was a terrific finish in Chennai. And I have to say, I think South Africa have got to be favourites to win the World Cup, in my humble opinion. They look when we watched all the teams in the World Cup in the cricket, I think they look the all-round the best side in the tournament so far. Probably them in India, possibly the best side in the tournament. As for England, that's a totally different story. Well, it's finished. Thank you very much to Paul for being with us. I think it's been amazing. Has there been? Well, we had some involvement with the IU goal and one or two other bits, but really, it's been one of those. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing night. Palace certainly had the better of the first half. Spurs showed their class, but they needed a bit of luck to get them on their way. It's an unfortunate own goal by Joel Ward got them on their way, and then that double substitution from Postecoglou to bring on Holibier and Brennan Johnson paid instant dividends. But they laid it on the plate for Son Heung-min to tap in from 6 yards. Jordan Ayew gave Palace hope in stoppage time, but they just couldn't find an opportunity to score a second one. And Spurs take the spoils. They go to 26 points and go 5 points clear at the top. Remember, Arsenal play Sheffield United at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll be at the Manchester derby to see if City can also close the gap themselves if they beat Manchester United, a resurgent Manchester United at Old Trafford. Might not be as quick as anyone thinks. But anyway, from me and Paul here at Selhurst Park, I hope you enjoyed tonight's game, and we'll hopefully see you all on Sunday. Take care. Good night.